listening to Oilersnation Radio, a member of the Nation network of podcasts and delivered by DoorDash. 1 hour of straight hockey talk with Dan, Rick, and Tyler and Bag Milk starts now.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Oilersnation Radio, episode 151. We're back for the second time this week. A couple of days to digest, maybe calm down a little bit, look at the bigger picture, see if you can find the forest through the trees on free agency, but we'll get to it. First of all, I want to thank our friends at Sherwood Ford the Giant, as I always do. Every week, I tell you that you should go to Sherwood Ford to get your vehicle serviced. If you need some parts, maybe you just want a new whip. Again, Sherwood Ford, I know you're listening to this. I'm looking at my parking spot right now. There'd be no Bronco there. And there is also not a 1987 Ford Escort GT. As far as I know, none of those vehicles have shown up. I'm still patient. I believe in you guys. I know you're doing your best, but I'm telling you, the four of us, sorry, Tyler, you've been excluded. Mm-hmm. The four of us, because Waz is here, would look great driving Broncos and or 1987 Ford Escort GTs. Waz, you were not born in 1987, were you?
No.
I didn't think so. But the Ford Escort GT from that year is a classic car. I tell you, I promise you.
I believe you.
So I'm Bag Milk here with Rick, Nation, Dan, and Waz. We're going to break down the week that was, or at least the last couple of days in Oilers land. Thanks again to Sherwood Ford for making it happen. Follow them on Twitter at Sherwood Ford and on Instagram at Sherwood Ford _ the Giant. As we do each week, we start off with the Sherwood Ford Giant question of the week. This week, because it's free agency, because it was the draft, because it was the expansion all in the last 10 days or whatever it was, my question to you, gentlemen, is, are the Oilers a better team today, Friday, July 30th, than they were when the season wrapped against Winnipeg? Are the Oilers better today than they were when the season wrapped against Winnipeg? I know Waz did a poll on Instagram for that yesterday. We'll get to the results of that after we're done here. I'm going to start off with Mr. Waz. You upgraded the Zoom call.
Yeah.
You upgraded the Zoom account today. No more piecing together the podcast.
No.
You're ready to go. Your take, sir. Are the Oilers better now than they were against Winnipeg?
I think a little bit. I think on the back end, of course, things are questionable, especially on the defense pairings. And goaltending has still been yet to be solved, but I like the forward group we have going. I'm interested to see what Fogle will bring. Derrick Ryan, Zach Hyman. The fact that Flames fans were sad that Derrick Ryan left and that we signed him, that's a good sign. I like that. So, and Zach Hyman, it's kind of hard to hate him. And Fogle, I've seen apparently good analytics. So I like how we've got the forward group shaping up. It's just question is, can that defense core also kind of potentially get better as the season goes on?
Dan, I'm coming to you next. You're next up on my screen. Are the Oilers better today than they were when they wrapped against Winnipeg?
Well, I hate black and white questions, but I'll answer the question because
we're gonna break this down in thirds after this.
I respect Sherwood Ford too much not to answer it properly, and so my answer is yes. The plain and simple answer is our forward group is the best forward group since Mark Messier was on this team, and so for me, I know it's strong. I know. It's strong because we have McDavid and we have Draisaitl, and so it's hard for anybody to discredit that opinion. But this team, this group of forwards is better, and therefore the pressure should be taken off of McDavid and Draisaitl to have to drive all the offense, and they're going to be able to freewheel and have some fun with that. And the bottom six is going to be able to have some more fun too when the ice is opened up, when McDavid and Draisaitl take the top matchups defensively. So yes, the Edmonton Oilers are better today than they were at the end of the season.
Ricardo, are the Oilers better?
I think the boys just hit it on the head there. They took obviously goaltending back a little bit. Same guys, different. I know 1 year later, so a little bit step back there. You look at the left side of the defense. I like that. The right side, question mark. But I think the way the forwards advanced this year, adding a couple of big pieces. Can help situate other players who are here already into roles they're more fitted. I think in the overall, it does take our team to a better place than we were at the end of last year.
I wish I had a better take to argue with somebody, but I honestly think the Oilers are better. I think they are. A big problem we had around these parts for a long time now, at least the last few years, at the very least, was what happens with the forwards when Connor and Leon are not on the ice. When they're apart, you've got two lines that can push. A lot of times they're together. That leaves a big hole behind them when they're not on the ice. And for other teams, that makes life too easy. If you shut down Connor and you shut down Leon, nearly impossible, but you can try your best. And if you do it, it's a black hole for offense for a lot of the bottom six. And I think, like Waz said, Warren Fogel's going to help. Derek Ryan's going to help. I've got a quote here from Ryan Pike about Derek Ryan. We're going to talk about him in a minute. I think that those guys are going to help. I also wonder if there's going to be internal growth. Like, how much of a bounce back season is Nuge going to have? We would all agree, I think, that Ryan Nugent Hopkins didn't have a great year last year. Probably the pressure of the contract. You know, he was still on pace for like 50 points or so, but that was all power play, right? Historically, he's much better at 5-on-5 than he was last year. Is it reasonable to expect a bounce back from Ryan Nugent Hopkins? I think so. 100%. Is it reasonable to expect a bounce back from Kaylor Yamamoto? It's not to say he was bad. The work ethic's always there with Yamamoto. He just couldn't finish. Is that reasonable to expect he'll be better? Yeah, I think it is. What about Puljujärvi? If he produces at the exact same rate he did last year, that's the 15, 16, 17 goal season over the full year. I think he's going to be fine. So I do believe
he had around that many goals to begin with. He had like 15, 16 anyway. So yeah, he'd be like 22, 23, I'd say.
All I know is I won some money on Puljujärvi last year because I bet on him on the over. Whoop, whoop. But I do.
What was the over? Was it 8?
Yeah, it was like 8.5 or something. Fucking hammer that over all day. I think they're going to be better, but I also think there are questions. So let's get into it. If all four of us are in agreement that the forward group is better than it was last year, let's move on to the other 2/3 of the lineup, if you want to break it down that way. Dan, I'm starting with you. Let's look at the defense. Adam Larsson is an absolutely huge hole to fill. And I think that this year we're going to get an appreciation for how good he was at his job. But they brought in Cody Ceci. Evan Bouchard, dad is ready to take a step up, probably. Tyson Barrie's back. We're going to talk about his new deal some more. Dan, what about the defense?
For me, on the entire back end, and I'll answer that, of course, when we talk about the goalies, my only issue is the number of gambles that we've made. Just kind of set you up for one of those gambles not working out. We've seen it in the past. Ken Holland is a gambler. He likes to he has his opinions, and sometimes they go against the grain of what the analytics crowd says or what the eye test crowd says. They are Ken Holland's opinions. We saw it with Mike Smith last year. I think everybody on this podcast kind of felt like we were looking at a tandem that wasn't going to be together by mid-season, and there was going to be another goalie brought in to kind of solidify that role. Mike Smith made that not necessary. For me, the Duncan Keith addition paired with Cody Ceci, I think is actually going to be sneaky good. I just when I think about those two guys as players, I don't think Keith is as bad as his numbers have shown. I'm happy, or I'll be upset if I'm wrong, but that's just the way I feel about it. And then CC, yeah, he's just hasn't been an analytics darling for his entire career. But his numbers have trended up even there with Pittsburgh. So I think that's going to be a good little pairing. I have concerns with Tyson Barrie coming back when when it causes the other dominoes to fall that it made happen. And if a CC does falter as a defenseman, then you're asking too much of Bouchard, in my opinion, for this early on, especially where they haven't wanted to have him playing as much as I would have liked to have seen previously. So for me on the defense, it's just a lot of gambles isolated that then could become a major issue if they start to not go your way.
I'll jump in. I think the defense is going to be the biggest question mark on the team. Outside of, actually, no, I'm going to take that back. The goaltending is a real problem for me. I think the defense has the chance to outperform expectations. I really, really do. But you're going to need Duncan Keith to look more like Duncan Keith than Duncan Keith has looked like Duncan Keith. You're going to need Cody Ceci to make sure that he's building on that strong season he had in Pittsburgh last year. And you're going to need, I think the big wild card on defense is dad. how good is Evan Bouchard going to be? Because he didn't play a whole lot last year. Personally, I found it annoying that he wasn't in the AHL. I get it. Different season. Waivers were a concern. There's the quarantine, the blah, blah. I get all that. But how good is Evan Bouchard going to be? He's going to be able to hold his own fine on the third pairing. I believe that strongly. But as the year goes on, as we get to Christmas, to the Olympic break, has he pushed himself up on the depth chart? Maybe from that 3 RD spot to 2, or heaven forbid, Dan, what if he gets to 1? Now, that's a lot of pressure on the kid, but I think he's the biggest wild card. Rick, if you're looking at the defense, are they better, or are they worse, or are they roughly the same?
I'm going to come down and say I think they're both roughly the same. I think Darnell probably about the same. I do think Keith is a step up on Jones. I don't think anybody can really argue that over just last year. Jones didn't play all that much. I see that being a step up. I would like to see somebody added at the third LD. I'd prefer that Russell be number 7. So I'm going to go through the rest of the summer hoping we bring somebody in who is a little more situated for that spot. And on the right side, I think Barry, it's reasonable to expect the same type of numbers from him. The Barry thing, I think, is a lot more to it than what everyone just sees in terms of Barry coming in. I think there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that also went into this. And I think, I think Bouchard, he was ready for this spot last year. It was a weird year. They didn't really want to roll whether it be 3 young defensemen at the time. So he kind of just got a little bit screwed there in the situation. And then with COVID, and he played in Europe. So he felt he had enough time, didn't really want to go play in the AHL, which I get. Of course, you'd like to see him play more competitive hockey, but hey, it is what it is. I think a young guy like that, he'll be able to bounce back pretty quickly. And I see him advancing in the season to the point where we have 2 second line right-handed defensemen, where I think if you had him or CC play in that spot, you'd be okay with it. And I think that fact that one of those 2 will have to play the third is going to give us an advancement in that, is that with two number 2s and one has to play a 3. So he's going to have a better quality of competition down there. So I think it's going to be close. I think that the potential being better. There's always the risk of being of a couple things not working, but I think it'll be just as good, if not better. And then goaltending terrifies me right now.
We're going to talk about that next. But first, Mr. Waz, what do you think about the D?
I think it got maybe roughly a little worse with removing Larson. I'm excited to see what Cody Ceci can bring. I mean, I heard he had a good season in Pittsburgh. So maybe we can have that come back into the Oilers. I'm excited to see. I think it was Cam who mentioned in the last podcast how he thinks Evan Bouchard is really the X factor as a defense this year, and if he can really have that breakout season. And I'm hoping that the acquisition of Duncan Keith can actually help him take the pressure off those shoulders that he thinks he has and help him mentally. I think we talked about before how Duncan Keith was kind of brought in not only to help the team, but also with the mentorship side of things with a young player like Evan Bouchard. So I really hope that Duncan Keith can really keep Evan Bouchard on his feet and just consistently perform.
I hope that too. I mean, that was what we were kind of sold, right? When Duncan Keith was traded for, is the intangibles that he's going to bring into the room and the work ethic and the experience and the blah, blah, blah. How much is that going to matter? Because this is a year where he has got a guy on his defensive group in Bouchard that if you're going to teach anybody around here, please make it him, because we need this kid. That with Bear gone, the right side of the defense is a little bit more shallow than it was. On the left side, still a little bit deeper, even with Jones gone. But I think that the defense is going to be interesting to watch.
Yeah.
But in terms of interesting to watch and outright terrifying at times, what about the goaltending, boys? Because if we're looking at it, last year, 56-game season, we're back to 82. Mike Smith's not going to play every night. Ken Holland talked about it in his presser where he's like, listen, we're traveling. It's not 3 games in a single city anymore this year, outside of at home, of course. And it's going to be just different. You're going to need 2 goalies going. So Dan, I'm starting with you. I've seen you on Twitter. You're worried about it. I'm with you. Your thoughts on the goaltending?
Well, again, it like I said, Ken Holland has had a propensity with the Edmonton Oilers to be a gambling man. And at this point, we can't be gambling anymore. And this was supposed to be the summer where the gambles were going to end. And now we're looking at another summer where Ken Holland kind of, threw a couple irons in the fire, had a couple goalies that he wanted, and he didn't land them. And so now we're being sold the bag of goods that there's no goalie out there that's better than Mikko Koskinen for us to be able to pick up, which is troubling to me. I think that the organization just needs to move on. The book has been written on Mikko Koskinen. Teams know how to beat Mikko Koskinen, and he is not consistent. He wasn't very good while he was the number one guy for us. And by the way, Mike Smith has been injured 2 out of the last 2 years for a stint at least. So you're expecting Mikko Koskinen to have to be a starter at some point, likely. And then, you get to the Mike Smith side of things. And again, it's just, there's a guy that Tippett trusts. But again, he has been injured the last 2 seasons that he's played for the Edmonton Oilers. He played through an injury in the December of 2019 that we all just kind of were shaking our heads at his performance. And he figured it out into January and into February and was continuing on fine. But, I don't know. We're gambling a lot. And if one of those gambles doesn't turn out well, the next gamble is going to be affected by that as well. So I'm just not sold on it right now. We need something different.
Goaltending to me is the most important position in hockey, because if your goaltender, look at Montreal. Carey Price stood on his head at the perfect time and it sent them to the Stanley Cup Finals. However, on the flip side, and I'm not saying that Mike Smith was bad during the playoffs. I'm not saying that at all. But what I'm saying is, if you don't have full trust in your goaltending duo, and I think that the boys probably have a lot of trust in Mike Smith at this point, but when you look at Mikko, I don't know if the same can be said about a goaltender number 2. They're playing tighter. They got to be back more. They got to feel like they're covering up more. They can't just be themselves offensively with the puck. They can't get creative and weird with it if they think that a giveaway is going to end up in the back of the net. Can Mikko solve it? Maybe. His stats when he's not playing every single night are much, much better, which would be the case with Mike Smith leading the charge this year. But I would feel way more comfortable if we were able to upgrade in that position, because I think that there are questions on defense. I think it's going to be fine. I don't think it's a big disaster like some of the spreadsheet boys are saying. It could be, but I don't think it will be. Goaltending, though, if your goaltending is not rock solid, that can sewer a season very, very quickly. Rick, your thoughts on Smith and Costco potentially coming back as a duo?
Yeah, it's terrifying, but I think there's a little bit of bias in my memory. If I'm not mistaken, I thought.
Did you remember a guy let in 4 goals on 4 shots? Is that just kind of buried in there somewhere?
Yeah, something like that. I don't really remember what it was. It just made me feel really ill really quick. I thought I heard on the radio yesterday the Oilers save percentage was 7th amongst all teams last year. If that's what it was, then hey, get us 7th again, and I think we're all thumbs up. Obviously, in the playoffs, things were a little bit different. There was a whole bunch of things just what kind of went bad for us there. I would really prefer not having these two. I'd really prefer not having Mikko there, but at the same time, I don't want to spend too much in terms of a replacement if it's not really that much better, right? So this Korpisalo stuff we're hearing is ridiculous. That's through the roof. That's way too much to spend for a goaltender whose numbers have been less than Mikko's the last 3 years. Mm-hmm. And this is going to sound weird, but I give Colin credit in not overpaying for somebody. The Darcy Kemper trade, for what would have cost us to make that trade, I don't think any of us would have been happy with that, especially the fact that dude only had a 1 year left on his contract. So I think he's done this for 3 years in a row, and I think it's good and bad, I suppose. But he does not want to overspend, which is I'm all thumbs up for. He's not really been too bad with the UFA contracts. 2 guys that brought in don't have any type of clauses for their contracts in terms of movement, right? CC Barry, there are no clauses on their contracts in terms of movement. That's great. Those things are handed out like candy before. So I give Holland credit here in holding back, but I do think he's missed on a couple of goaltenders out there. If this is what we have to do going in, then it's what we have to do. It's not my preference, but I don't think it's the end of the world. I don't want to see us make a move just to make a move if the goaltender's not better. Like, if we know what we have in Mikko, you can't spend Mikko the first and Samorukov to bring in Korpisalo. His numbers aren't there to prove it. They're not better than Mikko's. That would just be a silly trade in my mind. So it sucks, but we might be stuck with this going forward. But if they were 7th overall as a team, man, you gotta like that. We remember bits and pieces that make us ill, but there obviously was good in there too. So it's one of those weird things where you want to see some change, but I don't want to see change just to see change. I want to see change to see improvement. And if we can't improve on it, then I think we have to sit back and wait another year.
We're going to get into the Korpisalo rumor here in a second. But first, I want to talk to you about Bixler's Jewelers. They are America's first jeweler. Founded in 1785, nearly as old as America itself, Bixler's was established in Pennsylvania, and they have licensed jewelry. Whether you're looking for a ring, maybe an Oilers ring, look real nice on you. I promise. Bixler's Jewelers is where it's at. Dan, we have a promo code, yes?
We do. It's as you mentioned, they are the official jeweler for the NHL, as well as making NHL hockey mom jewelry. And if you are looking to purchase any of that NHL licensed high quality, the finest quality you can get in jewelry, you're actually going to be able to use a promo code until the end of this month, which ends tomorrow, using the promo code BixlersNation10 at checkout, and that'll get you 10% off of that jewelry. So if you're looking for a gift for somebody coming up in the near future, or even, able to budget ahead of time, use that promo code BixlersNation10 and get yourself 10% off of officially licensed jewelry.
All right. So Rick talked about it a little bit, but rumor came out from the DFO Rundown today from Frank Seravalli that Ken Holland, there was a conversation with Columbus about Joonas Korpisalo. The deal would have been Koskinen, a first, and Samorukov. That is a big ticket for Korpisalo. Let me read some stats here from last year. 33 games played, 9-13-7 with an 894. And you're like, wait a minute, is that Koskinen's numbers? No, that's Korpisalo's numbers. In fact, Koskinen went 13-13-0 with an 899. The year before, Koskinen was at a 917, again better than Korpisalo. So my question to you, gentlemen, why? Look, I want an upgrade in that too. But the key word of that sentence is upgrade. That is a big ticket for a guy who is admittedly younger, will need a new contract in a year, and the stats aren't even equivalent to the guy we're trying to get rid of. So, Waz, how does this make sense?
I don't think it makes much sense, especially with how much you're giving up. Samorukov, I don't know if we want to deal him because I feel like we're kind of limited on terms of defensive prospects already. I mean, yeah, we have Philip Broberg, Samorukov, and then maybe what else? It feels very limited compared to the forward group we have coming through. So, and then the numbers are also, it just seems like we're just trying to find a way to get rid of that anchor of a contract, which is Koskinen. Fair enough. Thank you, Peter Trelli. So I'm open to the idea, but is it really? I feel like Ken Holland should have been trying to fetch another goalie through free agency as early as possible. So the deal itself just doesn't look good, especially with those numbers. And also, fun fact, Korpisalo was also a part of the goal that McDavid scored on his return back in his rookie season. The highlight reel goal. Yeah, so I hope that's it's not haunting him still. So yeah.
I just think that, again, if you're going to look to upgrade is the key word of the sentence. In a package like that, there's 1 year left on Mikko. So, yes, I agree that you want to get rid of the contract probably, but if you're going to pay that much plus futures just to get rid of this 1 year on a guy who's maybe an upgrade, but statistically not really, I don't get it, Dan.
Well, the only advantage that you see is if you go to puckpedia.com and you look at their salary cap numbers. for this year and this year alone, and that's
But
the main
you're gonna have to pay, like, either you're giving Samorukov plus the first to save yourself just under $2 million, which in the long run I'm not doing, or you
Yep.
try and eat part of the contract. But in fact, either way, the goaltender itself has not proved to be better than the goaltender here. Therefore, I can't
No,
see that trade being one.
If you're going to do that trade, it better be Merzlikins.
Well, that's
for
yeah,
a
so-
first and Samorukov, man,
That's-
Elvis is more than that, if I'm not mistaken, in terms of salary. But I would almost want somebody a little bit better than Elvis if that's the case.
And I could see that too, but I'm just talking specifically about the Columbus Blue Jackets. Like,
Yeah,
if you're going to
that's
do
fair.
that package, Korpisalo ain't it.
Elvis Merzlikins makes less than Mikko Koskinen as well, $4 million.
Oh, does he have a new contract coming
He's-
up or no?
He's also a free agent next year.
So again, like, that's also a big part of this, right? If they're both needing new contracts next year, man, you got to be careful here.
Well,
You
thanks
could
to
lose
Colorado
either one either
Avalanche.
way.
Thanks to the Colorado Avalanche for setting that price for this summer. I think that's kind of where I was going to go with my answer, is just to say that, if that's the cost of acquisition, then yes, you don't need to make those trades right now. There's enough goalies available out there that you could make a move for, that you don't you shouldn't have to pay that much. But if people think that the Colorado Avalanche's desperation to get Darcy Kemper is an indication of, the scarcity of goalies, then sure, we'll wait until the deadline.
When we left off on Wednesday with the free agency emergency podcast, we were on goalie watch for Darcy Kemper when we ended off. Obviously, he went to Colorado. So I text Gregor after this Korpisalo news came out, and I'm like, Gregor, do you have what were the Coyotes looking for from the Oilers? And this is what he says. They were looking for a first, a top prospect, and something else. Colorado gave up a first and Timmins, and Arizona retained $1 million. Koskinen would have been an extra $3.5 million over top of Timmins. So they would have had to add more than what Colorado gave up. Now, with that said, are we happy that Darcy Kemper ended up in Colorado as opposed to ending up in Edmonton?
I'm happy we didn't spend that price. So yes.
Because yeah, like Gregor's offer is obviously, what he would, or what he has surmised is the final offer from the Oilers. So yeah, you would have had to have gone further than what the level of Timmins is. I don't know much about Timmins, but from what I've heard, people are quite high on him. So therefore, then you're looking at maybe a Broberg instead of a Samorukov, which is just a non-starter in my opinion. So yeah, I'm not overly upset. And to the point of what you guys were talking about when it comes to having expiring contracts, Colorado's in the position where they can make those kinds of moves because it is now or never kind of thing with them. And so, we have 4 years to figure this stuff out. We don't have to make that transaction for a guy that is ready tomorrow. And hopefully we can compete with a Colorado, and once we get to that level of the playoffs, but we haven't even got that far yet. So goaltending can improve, but you don't need to pay that cost of acquisition.
I wonder, gentlemen, then would you be more interested in Alex Georgiev from the New York Rangers? Our own colleague and friend of everyone except the NHL on expansion night, Frank Seravalli, says that he has asked for a trade out of New York because he's just not going to get the chance that he feels he deserves. Last year in 2020 or 2021, I should say, he played 19 games, went 8-7-2 with a 9.05. Didn't play a whole lot. Minor upgrade over Koskinen's numbers at 0.06 in the save percentage. He's younger. He's only 25. The last couple seasons before this one, he had a higher percentage, save percentage. He did a 9.14 in 2018-19 and a 9.10 in 2019-2020. Would Georgiev be a guy that you would be more interested in rather than a Korpisalo? Let's just say that's the package.
Same price tag.
Same price tag.
Yeah.
Let's just assume that.
And I just throw out there two bag milk as according to puckpedia.com. Georgiev makes $2.4 million this year, and then he's an RFA next year. And
team control.
And so team control.
Now that Dan said that, you'd probably have to give up more. Maybe it's not Samorukov. Maybe it's something else. I don't know. I'm bullshitting. But for the purpose of the podcast, for the purpose of the podcast, let's just make the price tag consistent. Would you do that for a guy like Georgiev?
I need to do some more research because I saw a tweet earlier today that said something about him not being a very good teammate. That they really didn't get along with guys in the dressing room.
Well, to that one,
so
he was involved in the exchange with Tony DeAngelo allegedly.
Huh.
Yeah, and that's fair. Like, it is what it is. But I mean, I have no idea exactly what happened there. It's the dressing room. It's a different planet. Weird things happen in there. I get it. So I'm not going to judge anybody too much there, unless it comes out as really egregious. But just in general, I don't think they were referring to that at all. I think they were just referring to the fact that, maybe he's just not a great teammate. And I just don't know if you want that type of a person in this dressing room right now.
It's interesting. How old is he again?
25.
23 or something. 25.
Well, then I think instead, why go for Georgiev when you can maybe take your chances on Konovalov in the system already? He put up good numbers in the KHL. If he has a good training camp, good preseason, I feel like he maybe.
Yeah,
I feel like if they were going to do that, they'd more likely stick with Stalock that's actually played in the NHL before.
Okay.
I don't know if breaking in a goalie in North America for his first season over would be in the NHL would be the best idea for a team that needs to win now.
Well, and
I think Skinner starts here before Konovalov would ever that opportunity.
It's happened a few times in the NHL recently. The Islanders with Sorokin. There's another one that is at the top of my head. Was it the Capitals with Vitalov?
Yeah,
Samsonov, maybe.
Or Samsonov, yeah. So it's happened a few times recently, but yeah, traditionally, and this is the funny thing I think as Oiler fans is I personally have forgotten what it's like to develop a goaltender.
Yes.
So I don't know what the path of least resistance is, but it looks like Konovalov will be the goalie in Baco this year, and then hopefully.
I don't know, man. I think I'd probably start him off in the ECHL, so he gets all the games there. Skinner gets all the games because right now he has to be ahead just in the list just because of games played and what they've seen him. That obviously can change whether it be game 1, 2, or 3, or 4. But yeah, I think that's where I start him. I think I start Konovalov down in the ECHL so he gets all the games. There is no sharing duty, and Olivier Rodriguez kind of the kick in the shin by having the backup Skinner.
It's gonna be interesting. Like, developing a goalie is obviously voodoo. Who knows when or if any of these guys are going to make the show? But what I do know is that the Oilers need to get this sorted now. And another maybe in net. I don't know if that's the best idea. So if you were to bet, let's just do this. This is how we'll end it off. If you were to bet today, you've got $50 of Jay Downton's money. Are you gonna? I know it's a big ticket. Are you going to bet that on the same goaltending duo, or is Mike Smith going to have another partner in crime when we start in October? I'm going to start with Rick.
Based on everything we've seen so far, price tags and whatnot, I'm going to say we are rolling with Mikko and Mike Smith.
We've got Jay's money going on Mikko and Mike Smith from Rick. Dan, your thoughts with Jay's money, of course.
I think it's going to be Georgiev. I think we bring in Georgiev.
Okay, wow.
Dan's betting Jay's money on a trade.
So sorry, Smith and Georgiev, obviously.
Dan's betting on a trade. I like it.
that,
Waz,
yeah.
what do you think? Waz, you're spending Jay's money now. What do you got?
Ooh, I'm gonna go, honestly, I think I could see that Korpisalo deal coming through simply just because Ken Holland has made some questionable trades as of late. So I can see that trend staying the same. And I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. So I'll spend Jay's money on Korpisalo coming to Edmonton for something. I'm gonna spend Jay's money. I'm with Rick. So we got $100 pool on the same duo coming back. I'm not gonna say I like it, but that's where we're at. So if you,
but you do like it ahead of either one of those trades.
Yeah, I can't get behind trading that many futures for a guy who's not a clear upgrade. If you make the trade there, like, again, this wouldn't happen. Columbus would never do this. But like, if it was just Mikko straight across for Korpisalo, then okay, you get that conversation.
I would do that with a bit of I'll eat some of Mikko's money, or
make it even.
I don't know if the first and the Samorukov are not.
That's exactly. That's a great point.
I know 2 and 3 are out of the question because of the Keith trade. So 4 probably doesn't get it done. So whatever, I don't know what the next draft is, like 2027 or something like that. I'll throw in the 3rd round pick there, but I mean, that's about as high as I'm going.
That's me too. Like I can't trade that much for a guy who's not. When you look at that, if you looked at him coming in and you just went, "Oh fuck, that's a trade." Like, I can't give up that much for a guy whose numbers aren't even as good as the guy you're trying to get rid of.
And
I just can't buy that.
I'm not even that high on Samorukov. Like he's not like I already have him slotted behind Broberg, but in saying that, yeah, I think that like if that deal was going for Gorgiev, I don't think we're upset with that. But again, we're talking about a guy that has control, so it's probably going to cost a little bit more.
And also, if you're listening to this right now, dear listener, and you're getting mad at your radio / car, wherever you're listening, send your negative emails to Dan at Oilersnation.com. He likes
Why?
Okay.
Because I said I was going to take Gorgiev?
And if you want to send your tasteful nudes, as always, send those to Tyler at Oilersnation.com. Make sure they're tasteful. He doesn't want any scrubby nudes. I'm telling you. I've been sending them. He rejects them all. For 90 years and 4 generations, Cornerstone Insurance has been a family and employee-owned business here in Edmonton. They've got all the insurance products you need, be it auto, residential, commercial, life insurance, whatever. Got a claim to make? Cornerstone. Need payment info? Help? Cornerstone. You want a discount on your insurance? Cornerstone. On the left-hand side of your screen at cornerstoneins.ca, there's a little tab that says Citizens of the Nation. You click on that, get yourself a discount. Who doesn't like discounts? I do. I'm very cheap, and I like discounts. Thank you, Cornerstone, for making my insurance cheaper than it was. I appreciate you. Again, cornerstoneins.ca, cornerstoneins.ca. When we left off on Wednesday, we were in goalie watch. But what we did not know is that shortly after, the Oilers would sign Derrick Ryan to a 2-year contract with a $1.25 million cap hit per season. It's a cheaper deal, quality depth player. The interesting thing about it, though, is that friend of the podcast, friend of the nation, friend to everybody, Frank Seravalli actually broke the signing mid Ken Holland podcast. Ken Holland should do a podcast. You know what? It would be. I would listen to that.
Bring him on.
It would be wild. Ken, if you want to come on the podcast,
on this one. Yeah,
we won't. We promise we won't ask you about LTIR. I swear we won't ask you about it. But if you want to explain it, we
don't have enough tape for that.
No, we did upgrade the Zoom account, but we don't know if we've upgraded the Zoom account large enough for a full LTIR selection or breakdown. I don't know.
We get one of those Netflix messages. It's like, are you still listening to this?
So we got Derrick Ryan. I want to know your thoughts on it. But first, we're talking about a depth player here. We're talking about a guy who's going to be 3C, 4C, maybe 3C is a little bit above his head, but he might fill in there while you just kind of blocking from a cloud a little bit, maybe as of today. We'll see. We asked friend of the nation, editor at Flames Nation, Ryan Pike, because he's coming from the Flames. Tell us about Derrick Ryan, Ryan Pike. And when Ryan Pike likes a player that left the Flames and is sad that he came to the Oilers, that's good news in general. But here's what he said about Derrick Ryan. He said, Derrick Ryan is a really reliable bottom 6 forward. He doesn't have a lot of flash to his game, but he's supremely steady and predictable. He kills penalties well. He's good right side face-off option and will provide you with 10 to 12 minutes a night of anxiety-free hockey. His lack of flash is probably why he's a 4th-line guy, but he's a really strong depth player. So last year, 43 games, Derrick Ryan only had 2 goals and 11 assists for 13 points, but that was his worst season in 4 years. That was his worst production rate in the NHL ever, actually. The year before that, in 68 games, he had 29 points, 10 goals, and 19 assists. And if we get somewhere back into that range, now all of a sudden we're talking about a bottom 6 guy that can help on the PK, can win draws, and chip in with a little bit of offense. Gentlemen, your thoughts on Derrick Ryan? Quality depth signing, in my opinion. I like it. If Ryan Pike likes it, I like it. Rick?
Yeah, like you said, man, quality depth signing. Something we've always been missing for quite some time. I like the idea of having some event-free minutes on the ice when Connor and Leon are off. That's, that caught my ear right away.
That's what hit me too.
Yeah, it gets kind of worrisome when they leave. So if you can get me some non-eventful minutes, oh man, call me, sign me up. So yeah, no, I like it. It's cheap price. Sure, he's got ties to the town and whatnot. He's good at what he does, and he's gonna fit a role here that we've needed for a long time. So,
Dan, your thoughts on Derrick Ryan? Again, we're talking about a cheap depth signing, but a guy by all accounts that's quite effective.
Yeah, so my theme, of course, with my issues with the defense and goalie is just the gambling. With Derrick Ryan, you're not gambling. And what you're doing is something that we haven't had for a while, which is creating some real good competition for that bottom six. Kyle Turris stayed in Edmonton, worked really hard to try and still be an Edmonton Oiler. Devin Shore's back in town, loved his effort, loved his gumption, loved every little thing about his game in the off season, or sorry, in the last season. So you've got some really good bets on players in the bottom six now. There's not a lot of question marks. Sure, he wasn't the number one option for us or the number one hope for a lot of us. I think everybody was kind of hopeful about Getzlaf coming in at a good number.
No, not at that price.
No, 100%.
That's
That's where I said, yeah, good number for sure. If we brought in Ryan Getzlaf at the same number we brought in Derrick Ryan, everybody's over the moon about that acquisition. But Derrick Ryan, solid player, going to win you some faceoffs, and that's something that's super important for this team.
Waz, do you like yourself a Derrick Ryan pickup?
Oh, definitely. I like the fact that it will create competition as well between Kyle Turris and Ryan McLeod potentially. So I think that's always good. I like healthy competition. I'm just, and especially with losing Jujhar Khaira, I think that's a reasonable replacement. So the contract's fine, no issues really around it. I don't see any issues with bringing Derrick Ryan, especially if Flame fans are sad that he's coming here and he's a good signing. So that's good.
I think that's a big part of it, right? Is when you look at a player like Derrick Ryan, the team that he left, if they're like, shit, I can't believe he went to Edmonton. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Right? Another
sad
thing
Flames fans are my favorite Flames fans.
Those are the best ones. They're the best ones. Another guy who their former fan base is upset that he's left is our boy, Zach Hyman. And I got to tell you, contract aside, you can argue about it if you want. I'm not gonna. Not today.
No.
I am looking at a guy, watch highlights from this guy. He is a dog on a bone when it comes to the puck. I tweeted yesterday a OT shift that he had against the Los Angeles Kings from a couple of years ago where he was 1-on-4. He took on the entire Kings lineup. He didn't score on the play, but fuck me if he wasn't tenacious on the puck. It was a lot of fun to watch. And gentlemen, I just want to read you guys a couple of quotes. If we're talking about Flames fans being sad about losing Derrick Ryan, Leafs fans losing Zach Hyman it's the same thing. This one's from L. This is a Toronto fan. I fucking love Zach Hyman. You could always count on him. I hope he gets paid and has all the success in the world. When do you ever say that about a guy who's leaving town? Scott Wheeler from The Athletic said, truly one of the nicest people in the sports. I've got to know him, his family, and his team over the last few years better than anyone else in the Leafs organization, and he's genuinely a decent guy. That matters. Rick was talking a little bit about good teammate. This apparently is one. From Sportsnet reporter Luke Fox, Edmonton Oilers players, organizations, fans, and media getting a real gem in Zach Hyman. Toronto Maple Leafs will be hard-pressed to become a better version of themselves without him. And of course, Steve Dangle, he's on Sportsnet as well, former editor at the Leafs Nation. Oilers fans, Zach Hyman is a gem, truly. The Leafs organization has adored him, held him up as a standard since he was in the AHL. He's a smart, no-quit warrior, a penalty killer, capable net front guy, has scored at a 33 and 28 goal pace in each of his last two seasons. Guys, when you hear that kind of stuff from Toronto fans about our new boy, our new friend, Zach Hyman, what does it make you think, Dan?
Well, I think it's awesome, and it's something that we've been missing for quite a while. Talking about top line guys and top flight guys with personality and access outside of the game. Conor McDavid, we don't hear much from him in the offseason except for when he's training. Leon Draisaitl, same thing. And I don't fault them for that. They're allowed their privacy. But for a guy like Zach Hyman, he's out there. He's working on his video games and his esports, and he's obviously publishing books and stuff. So that's an element that this team hasn't had for a while, since I would say Ryan Smith. And it's going to be, it's easy to like a kind of guy like that. And it's easy to give that guy time to find his place on this team. because he's going to be in the community and engaging with the fans and having fun. So yeah, the off ice stuff is that's the intangibles that doesn't show up on a spreadsheet that everybody talks about all the time. And that kind of stuff matters.
Ricky, getting excited about Zach Hyman or what?
I do. I really like the player we're adding. Although I am going to say though, all that stuff you just mentioned, Dan, I don't believe that'll take any of the heat off of him if he has a slow start to the season. If he has a slow start, he'll definitely feel some heat on his feet. But I think he's used to that being in Toronto because things aren't going to be much different for here from there. So that he's used to that's fine. Yeah, no, I like the type of player. You feed off that type of a player, right? You see a guy go in the corners, do what he does. It just gives everybody energy, gives the whole building energy, gives the bench energy, gives the dressing room energy. Everybody feels it. That's kind of like what you wanted, an element of that out of Luch and a couple other guys throughout the time that, we need someone to bring that energy, hopefully this, and it's ridiculous I have to say it, but hopefully it sparks somebody like Cassian that, all of a sudden he's like, I don't have to be only one, and it helps him get going. And you know what? And it pushes guys down the lineup again. And I think that's where we'll be better off when we have guys playing almost in a position where they're a little bit too good to be there. The quality competition should be in our advantage, and we let our best players do their thing. And when they're off the ice, we can still handle our own. So no, I'm a big fan of this one. 7 years, scary, but it is what it is.
We'll deal with that later.
Yeah.
Here in the interim, I'm going to cheer on the guy who had a fucking Gretzky Warhol painting behind him in his presser. If you're looking to make friends in your new fan base, that's the way to do it. I'll tell you.
Dude, did you see what his other one was? I got Wanye right away.
Yeah, Biggie.
Oh yeah, like Wanye. He's swooning right now.
I wonder what kind of. So on Real Life, we were talking about what jersey number is he going to wear. We were talking about it. He's been number 11 everywhere. Michigan, the Marlies, the Leafs. What's he going to wear?
I was thinking like a 22 maybe, just a 10.
Tyson Berry wears number 22.
Ooh.
Also his company is named what is it?
E11 Gaming.
So
yeah,
so there's an element of 11 there as well. It's hard to get away from.
Hey, Moose, you mind letting the boy borrow the jersey for a couple of years or what? He's only got a 7-year contract.
Don't do it.
I'm just kidding. It would never happen. And by the way, if you want to turn the fan base against you, that's what you do. That's what
I don't even want Messier calling them and saying, "Hey, listen, you can go ahead and do it." I think that it just adds too much bullshit to it. I mean, Pugliarvi at 98 got fucking heat for 98. Get out of there. Get 30 something. Who gives a shit? It's a number on your jersey. Figure it out. It's not that big of a deal.
Do we have a 92 on the team? Who's born in 92?
This is
Peter Nedved. Nedved is 93.
Nedved is 93, yeah.
Okay.
I was like, who's number 92? That's Landeskog, I believe, is 92 in Colorado. But now's the time, I think, for the NHL to allow 3-digit numbers on the back of jersey so he can go 111. I would buy a 111 jersey. Nobody's going to complain about that.
Careful. You did this already, Bagged Milk. You opened your mouth about buying jerseys once, and you've got a whole list of them to buy. Don't say I'd buy 111 jerseys. Something's going to go wrong. You're going to create a T-shirt to push it, and next thing you know, in 2025, you're going to go buy 111 jerseys.
No.
You better hope those stonks go through the roof.
Not 111 jerseys. If his number was 100.
Oh, you'll go buy 111 jerseys. Oh, okay.
Can I just talk about the Nugent Hopkins jersey thing for a second? I never would have imagined how much fucking trouble I'm having buying 3 Ryan Nugent Hopkins jerseys. I've been in touch with several retailers around the city because I want to shop local. I could do it somewhere else, but I'm going to do it here. I can't get all 3. It's like
can't do that for you.
They can't get the reverse retro is basically like it's.
Oh wow. Yeah, the reverse retro is almost they had X amount for so many distributors, and once they went through them, for the reverse, you may have to just go. I would go to Fanatics, man. I don't know if they're still there, but that's where I'd go for that.
So I can't get that one. I already have an orange one, and they didn't have. They had to order some other ones because they didn't have it in my size. And United Cycle, they're ready to help, but again, it was the same thing. They had to order some. So the fact that I'm still good for it, I've got the money for it, I'm ready to do it. if you are a retailer right now and you want to sell me 3 Ryan Nugent Hopkins jerseys, I will buy them. I promise you. I wear a medium. I will buy them. This isn't a bet where I'm going to like go back on the bet. I promise.
You know, I was gonna mention. Sorry.
Go ahead.
If Zach Hyman wants to be different, he wears number 0. That'd
Are
be
you allowed to wear 0?
Only one player has ever won 0 apparently. It was from the Hartford Whalers, 87-88 season. Neil Sheehy.
Oh, Neil Sheehy.
Yeah.
Sheehy, yeah.
So
Maybe Zach Hyman borrows Joaquin Gage's number 1. You know, you don't often see skaters
That's
wear
true.
number 1. I'd like to see
Be
that.
different.
Switch it up a little bit.
Be different. I like it.
I think
And
so.
it'll sell jerseys too. So
If you're gonna guess, because obviously he can't wear Messier's jersey, he's not gonna wear number 11. Let's just throw it out. What number is Zach Hyman gonna? We're gonna take our way too early, pointless guesses on his jersey number. What is he wearing?
34.
Fernando, nice. Dan,
10.
do we have a 10 right now? We don't, do we?
Yakupov wore
No,
it.
he just traveled across the ocean. Nygaard, I believe, was their last number 10.
All right, I can see 10.
Yeah.
One off.
Sean Horkoff wore it too. I'll go 92 because he was born that year, and a lot of players do that.
He's not gonna do it, but Joaquin Gage's number 1 is what you do. That's the number. That's the play. Or, let me think here. Can't wear number 2 because I imagine Bouchard's gonna wear number 2 eventually. You know, maybe
dude.
as a tribute to Bob Beers.
Yo,
What?
wait, the left-handed defenseman just brought it from Chicago. What number does he wear? No one's wearing
Oh
2.
shit! Yeah, he wears number 2.
Mhm.
Sorry, Dad. You're not getting 2 until he leaves, and he's around for a couple of years. At least.
Well,
Well,
bought that jersey.
see, but traditionally it goes to the older person. So Rick, I don't know if you're right.
Yeah, that is true. Evan Bouchard did turn 46 this past.
Now we
offseason,
gotta
so-
compare. Now we gotta compare birth certificates.
Oh goodness gracious! So I don't know. I'm curious to see what number Zach Hyman wears. I think 10's probably right. I think he's just going to go 1 less. I also liked Waz's idea of 22. You just double it with Tyson Berry's back for 22. So who knows? Either way, I'm looking forward to it. Zach Hyman announced the number. Sorry, you can't have 11.
61.
You go the Rick Nash, the Corey Stillman, depending how far back you want to go.
Just because it pissed off
69.
Chalmers.
You just got to do it.
Nice. We went through the history of players wearing 69 in the NHL yesterday on Real Life, and it's only been worn a couple of times, and it was mostly during the preseason.
He'd be the greatest 69 of all time, is what you're saying.
Yes.
He'd be the nicest.
Yes. Nice.
Nice.
Could you imagine? Like, I wonder, like, is it it's got to be an unwritten thing.
Okay.
Just like, don't wear 69. Like, it's not football.
Zach Hyman.
Dude, what
Wearing
number was
69.
Hosang wearing?
It has to be.
Josh
66.
Hosang, yeah, he's wearing Lemieux. He went
Oh, he
Lemieux.
was wearing Lemieux.
yeah.
That's right.
Because that guy loves to be a lightning rod.
Yeah, like if you're gonna draw attention to yourself, or I mean, wear whatever the fuck you want. to.
Yeah, I
don't really give a
suppose.
shit.
But that's the thing. And I guess he did that knowing what he was gonna do. But I feel for that guy because he just gets.
No, I'm cheering for
So
him. He's got a
much hate.
PTO with Toronto this year. I'm cheering for him. Josh Hosang, go get it, buddy. Who knows if you'll make it, but go get it. I'm cheering for you. Why not? Gives a shit. Back to the podcast here. Elliot Friedman. He's thinking out loud on Darnell Nurse's contract. We know they're talking about an extension already. The rumor was 4 years. Pissed a lot of Oilers fans off because that takes him to the end of McDavid's contract, but whatever. So last night, Zach Werenski signed a 6-year extension with Columbus at 9.58. I tweeted, Brinks truck spotted on the way to Darnell Nurse's house. And a lot of people got mad at me for it, as if I'm not right. Now, Darnell Nurse at $9 million. You think it's going to happen, boys? Because it just seems like with what everybody else
Has
got
to.
paid this year, that's where it's going.
Unless he gives us some sort of little discount, it's going to be north of 800%. That's so unless he's like, I don't want to be paid more than Leon, which I'm sure even Leon would slap him for it. It has to. There's no way around it with all these guys getting it. And they're getting the contract this year, right? We're
Yeah,
not
'cause-
talking Carlson from a billion years ago. We're not
Yep.
talking PK from whenever. We're talking guys from this year. And Werenski, I don't know where he fit into the Norris talk, but I don't know if it was ahead of Darnell this year.
So like Werenski's is a big ticket. And I believe with Columbus, he's got, just like Darnell, he's got 1 year left before this extension kicks in. Waz, if you're thinking about Daryl, where's his contract coming in? It's got to be close to pushing 9, if not over, right?
Yeah, I'd probably say around 9 or just a bit over. But I find that it's a pretty common theme where, you know, like with Cale Makar, they see a number around that number and they're like, oh, that's where Darnell should be. They put up similar numbers, I guess, offensively, but I'll go with 9 million.
Dan?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the Makar thing and the Werenski thing are two different just because of the RFA years that Colorado bought with that contract.
And Makar is just so fucking good.
And he's just good. But yeah, the Werenski thing, it's such a funny thing to think that in negotiations, an agent can be like, hey, this idiot paid for this, so you should be an idiot too. And
market price, man.
Yeah, I know, but that's
everything goes like that.
I know that's the way the business goes, and that's where people that were screaming for him not to get a bridge deal last time are going to be proven right. You know, as the value of money and the value of the market goes up. So yeah, it's probably going to be right around that 9 number, which is just smoke.
We need the salary cap to start going up here, boys. You got us another 5-6 million. I think we're okay for a little bit, but
yeah, because basically what's going to happen. Basically, what's going to happen is Mikko's deal comes off the books and it just goes straight to Darnell's paycheck.
Well, that means you got to go. You better hope Konovalov or someone's ready to roll the net.
Yep.
Because you're gonna need a cheap goaltender. I know. Does Cassian come off this one or no?
No, you still got a big to go.
So you got to get out of him, and then his money turns around and goes right to Puljujärvi.
Yep.
You know, I know what Russell comes off, but again, hopefully that's Broberg or Samorukov there. Like we're gonna need some cheap deals here.
Need some cheap deals.
If we Daryl's got to be on the phone with Bettman. They got to convince them. Let's jack up the salary cap next year, boys. We need some help.
Waz, I'll tell you, long gone are the days of the 25-cent highball. You know, those days are gone. If we're talking about an NHL,
oh, buddy, 25-cent highball draft, a whole trade. Just give me a trade, please.
You would slap down $5 and just get gooned. I can't imagine why the government thought that was a bad idea.
Jesus.
$2 drinks in Halifax.
Did you know Dan was from Halifax?
Yeah,
I heard.
I was a bouncer around the $2 drinks. It was a nightmare.
I remember going to Union Hall. I was probably like 19-ish, and it would go 8 to 9 was 25 cents, 9 to 10 was 50 cents, and anything over 10 was $1. And you'd be like, $1? Get the fuck out of here!
Just disgusted.
I only came to the bar with a fresh 20. What's going on?
It's like when I went to Beer Cage for the first time, they had $2 beers. Like, oh my god, it's so cheap.
Yeah, but they're like 8 ounces.
You got to go to what you really need is you need to get a CVS. Well, this is what I'm pushing for. The pandemic last year and a half has been horrible. We need to get to a point where we can walk down the street with a cocktail. I came up with the idea of cocktail trucks the other day. We need to be able to walk around with a boozy Slurpee. That's the only way to do it. I love being in Vegas and having a tall.
Nobody's stopping you with a boozy Slurpee for the record.
That's true. That's my 7-Eleven margarita is a boozy Slurpee. You know, delicious. Dan, as if you wouldn't love walking down Jasper with a cocktail.
Allegedly, I already do it. No,
allegedly, I poured booze in my Slurpee.
Yeah,
Waz made me do it. Okay, so Darnell Nurse.
I didn't see anything.
He gonna get paid, son. He gonna get paid. You know who else got paid? Ovi. 5-year extension, $9.5 million for a guy who is 36, I believe. Let me check.
That 5 years was surprising in the fact that he's willing to stick it out that long. I didn't there's one reason he signed that.
He's a freak, and we're going to talk about it.
$894. That's the only reason he's signing this thing for sure.
So Ovi turns 36 in September. And like Rick said, the reason he signed the 5-year deal is to try and catch Gretzky. So right now, Ovechkin is 164 goals behind Wayne Gretzky. 5 years, that's 30 and some, that's 30 some a year. If anybody can do it, it's probably him. And I'll tell you one thing, he would be a lot closer right now. It had not been for how many lockouts has he played for through 2 plus COVID shortages plus. So if anybody can do it, it's probably Ovi. Do you guys think that if not catch Wayne, he'll be right there by the time this is all over and done with, provided that he's healthy, of course.
Yeah, he's going to be super close. I think it might be a little bit of bias in me saying I don't think he can get there. Still, you know what? That many goals at that age it's silly. If anyone can do it, it's him.
Yeah.
I kind of hope he doesn't get there, but yeah, it's crazy what he's doing, man.
I think he does it. Looking at so last year, obviously a shortened season, he still had 24 goals. The year before that, 48. The year before that, 51. The year before that, 49. The guy fucking fills the net. Dan, do you think Ovi catches Wayne Gretzky?
No. I
Is that where you're done?
Okay. I thought, yeah. No, I thought we were going to go back to you.
Wow.
No,
Where's my
I
button?
don't. I just, the guy, I think that you're right, Big Milk. All the things that you listed before are barriers to that level, or else he would have gone there. And I've said it for a long time. Alex Ovechkin is the greatest goal scorer of this generation of players, and
He's a tank.
It's unbelievable. It's unreal, but inevitably the regression will come at some point, and he's going to be close. He's going to be close. He's going to be super close, but I think the next player that you see get this close to Gretzky's record is probably going to have cybernetic implants.
I was going to say, I don't know who you're coming up with here for a name, because I don't know there's somebody
Owen Power.
A defenseman. That's interesting.
Man, that'll be a hell of a run by Owen Power. Good for you. Waz, get your buttons ready. By Waz, I mean Dan, get your mouth buttons ready. It is time for the Deuce Vodka Hot and Cold Performers of the Week. If you head over to deucevodka.com, there's a store locator right on the right-hand side of the screen. If you click that there button, it'll give you all of your options to go get yourself a bottle of Deuce Vodka. I, personally, am a fan of Caesar Sundays. I love a Deuce Vodka Caesar. Feels nice. Maybe I'll do a little salad bar in there. Some celery, pickled bean. Lovely. Was you a Caesar guy?
Oh, kind of. Yeah, I don't mind them. They're tasty.
See, new producer is already better than Tyler. At least he's tried a Caesar. Mm-hmm. Maybe a pepperoni stick. Oh.
Although I'm weird. I prefer them without alcohol, but in this case, I'll take a Deuce Vodka with it.
You're going for the Virgin Caesars, eh?
I like them. I don't know. I'm a weird guy. So, although I'd like to try the blueberry Deuce Vodka. I saw that looked very tasty. I'll take that.
Waz might end up my cold performer here with this Caesar take with the Virgin Caesars. I don't know about that one. Because I don't know how you're going to fit in with Rick and I sitting at the airport Chili's at 7 a.m. pounding double Caesars.
Oh, I can't wait for one of those.
So is a Virgin Caesar not just a glass of Clamato juice?
Yeah,
with a little spices in
with all the
I love it. I don't know.
Fixins are there. All the fixins are there.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's like a meal in a glass.
Needs a little.
But if you do it properly, you pretty much can't taste the vodka anyway.
So
you have like three. Like these have been fantastic.
I probably had. Yeah.
And then your body's like very good.
You gotta have the vodka there, though. You have to.
At least one shot.
I'll have to try. I'll have to try more then.
He's doing shots of vodka. Yeah. He's doing shots of vodka on the side. He's like, screw this. I'm putting these things back by themselves.
Yeah. Well, I'm Polish, so it's like
Oh, I'm not. Yeah. Hey, listen. I saw you sipping something out of a cognac snifter, and I gained 1,000 points of respect for you.
Well, the thing is, I'm Polish, and like we don't really care what we drink out of it.
Exactly.
So
anything is a cup. If you
don't even have cognac in my house. We have like brandy and whatnot. So
it's better than the time Waz was just lapping it up out of his hand. He's just like, at least he put it in a glass this time. All right. Deuce Vodka, how's that for a plug? Go to deucevodka.com. Use the store locator, find a bottle, drink responsibly, provided that you are of legal drinking age. And for the love of Gord, somebody get Waz a Caesar with some vodka in it. Goodness.
They'll take one right now.
Deuce.
We are starting with our veggies as we always do, boys. Looking at the last, we were here on Wednesday. Looking at the last couple of days of our lives, you can go back further than that if you like. The negative side. Waz, I'm starting with you. Filling in admirably as the producer of Oilers Nation Radio, your Deuce Vodka Cold Performer of the Week or the last 2 days or whatever you're feeling.
Well, I'm sad that I won't be the producer again because it's been a lot of fun. I've enjoyed this time. So thank you, Tyler. But I will go down to the fact that Ken Holland did not acquire a goalie so far. That made me sad. I really wanted Darcy Kemper, at least. I was even bold enough to say, hey, maybe we should have went for Braden Holtby because he went for pretty cheap, but I know his numbers are pretty bad right now. but I'll go with the fact that Ken Holland did not acquire a goalie so far.
Oh, that's cold. You know what? I saw on Instagram, people like my mouth buttons. So I might just keep doing it. Dan, you're next up. Deuce Vodka cold form of the week.
Well, I'm going to give it to two teams in the NHL. They both start with a C. It's the Columbus Blue Jackets and the Colorado Avalanche. The Colorado Avalanche because you drove up the price of goaltenders in the market, and the Columbus Blue Jackets because you went AWOL and gave Zach Werenski entirely too much money and drove up the price of defensemen for us. So the Columbus Blue Jackets and the Colorado Avalanche, you're my Deuce Vodka cold performer of the week.
Burr.
Nice.
Burr. Thank you. Rick, you're next up. Deuce Vodka cold performer of the week.
I don't know if it's a person per se, more of a situation, and it always hurts your heart to see them go. But the fact that the Hammer is leaving town.
Yep.
Seeing JJ, you know what?
Yep.
He's been so good here for so long, done so many good things. I would love to see him as our 13, 14, 12, somewhere in there, and have some extra success on this team. But it's a business. I get it. It sucks. I guess we'll see when Chicago comes to town. So the fact JJ is no longer an Oiler, that's the cold performer of the week.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Chicago got themselves a good player, a good teammate, a hell of a penalty killer, and a tripod that your entire fan base will get behind. I promise you. You guys treat JJ well because we loved him around here. We need you to love him too. Wrapping things up, Dan, you're on button duty this time. My cold performer of the week is Tyler Yaremchuk's holiday. All I can see on his Twitter is nothing about a holiday, but everything about sports. And I got to say, if I'm Tyler's family and or his girlfriend, this must have been the most annoying holiday ever to go on with him because he was calling into his radio show that he works on. He was calling into podcasts. He was not enjoying his holiday at all. I'll tell you one thing. When I check out, I check the fuck out. Tyler did not do that. So Tyler Yaremchuk, your holiday is my cold performer of the week.
We have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray, run amok, and flat out deceived.
Wow. Stephen A. Smith. Good for you, Dan.
Thanks.
That's beautiful.
That was beautiful. The delivery was excellent. All right, flipping the ledger. Let's end off this here podcast with some positives, some good news, some good vibes heading into the long weekend. I'm going to start with Rick. Rick, you're first up. Deuce Vodka hot performer of the week.
You know what? It's going to go to a couple individuals then. We're just going to flat out give it to the Team Canada national female swim team. I don't know who's been watching the Olympics. It was a little bit, a little slow to start. Then all of a sudden you start to get into a groove of when it's on. You start getting caught up in some of these things. Watching their swim meets, you get from the heats to the semis to the finals. It's been incredible. It's been fun. We've been around long enough back in milk to remember, if we made the semifinals, it was something good.
Yep.
If we were even in the heats, it was something cool. And, usually we wouldn't come out of that. So we've seen the progression from relatively minuscule country into winning medals and challenging for gold. So it's something cool. And the fact that it's been all women so far, I think that's just really neat. I don't look into it too much. It's just a weird coincidence. So, hey, let's just give a thumbs up to all those Olympic athletes.
Oh, that's hot. That's hot. Yeah, I'm with you, man. I love the Olympics. I've been watching it all day. My problem is, right now, this isn't live right now, right?
No. You're watching the soccer game?
I don't know what I'm watching right now. Just went to commercial. But it's just it's fun. It's watching different sports you wouldn't watch. I don't watch swimming, but you know what? If Penny's up for a medal, I'm watching swimming. I love it. I think the ladies are doing great. I was watching rowing last night, I guess.
The eights,
and they won the gold. Seeing the ladies, and then they chuck the one into the lake or whatever. It's a tradition. I don't know what's going on, but I like it. I'm all about it. Love me the Olympics. Nation Dan, you're next up. Deuce Vodka, hot performer of the week.
Yeah, and Rick, just to tag on to that, Penny Alexiak is going to go down as one of the greatest Olympians in Canadian history.
She's incredible.
When things are all said and done with her career, only 20 years old.
She's 21.
Right yeah, it's unbelievable.
You feel like she's been a household name for forever already, right?
Yeah.
Like,
amazing.
She's 21.
I'm gonna shift a little bit. Same topic as the Olympics, but I'm gonna give my Deuce Vodka Hot Performer of the Week to Hadillan Diaz, who won the first ever gold medal in Philippines history.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
that's
That's huge.
That's an unbelievable feat for anybody to achieve. You know, to just to think that you took your entire country's Olympic program up a next level by winning the first ever gold medal for your country. So to Hadillan Diaz, weightlifting. I don't know which discipline. I don't know what discipline it was specifically, but yeah, weightlifting for sure. So you, Hadillan Diaz, you are my Deuce Vodka Hot Performer of the Week.
Oh, that's hot. I don't remember what our other hot buttons were. Them Army boys, wheels up. Ski skirt. All right. What's your next up? Deuce Vodka Hot Performer of the Week.
Well, I'm going to go with a similar theme here, Olympics, but also just my hot performer of the week is the Canadian soccer program as a whole. Our women's are going to the semifinal of the Olympics, and our men's team unfortunately lost to Mexico in the Gold Cup semifinal, which we played really well that match. I was impressed by us. I think this is like Canada's golden generation of soccer.
Missing our three best players.
That's also true.
Best players.
Yeah. So we played
Why?
really
Where
well.
are they? Playing for like club teams or something?
No,
they're injured. Yeah, so I think if we had Alphonso Davies and a few others, we probably would have beat the Mexicans, but unfortunately we lost in like the 120th whatever minute, and it was a very feisty game. It was great. There was a couple brawls breaking out on the pitch. It was awesome. So I'm sad they got knocked out, but I will give them my love because they've been playing fantastic.
He's a hot guy!
Oh, we were going to do it at the same time. Nice.
Waz, follow-up question.
Yeah.
How close is Canada? Like the women obviously are going through. We saw that. One in penalty kicks, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
How far the men, like the Canadian men, from competing in the Olympics? Like I have no idea.
The Olympics, they actually not so, because it was men's is kind of different from women's, because I think you have to qualify through like under 21s for the Olympics. Is weird. So when we were trying to qualify, we lost to Mexico. But for the World Cup, Canada's men's national team actually has a pretty good chance. I think they can finish third in their group. So 2022, Canada at the men's FIFA World Cup, that'd be huge. We have a really good team.
And they get an automatic invite in 26, right?
Yeah.
And that could be actually a really good team come 26.
Having Waz in the team is going to teach me about soccer.
Yeah, it's great.
I'm looking forward to it. I like when they kick the ball around. Okay, my hot performer of the week, my Deuce Vodka hot performer of the week is Waz. I'm going to give you some love, buddy. You had to piece together a 3-piece podcast on Wednesday because we didn't have the foresight of upgrading your Zoom account until today. You did a great job today. You're going to edit the podcast, get it up in a timely fashion. Did a great job filling in for Tyler. So my Deuce Vodka hot performer of the week is young Waz.
Thank you.
If you don't know him, he's everywhere. He's on Instagram. He's on TikTok. We've been talking about some stuff for the new season. So you're going to see more Waz.
Yeah.
You're my hot performer of the week, sir.
Maybe at this rate, I'll just start my own podcast.
You should.
Be a fun
We
time.
talked about it. We did talk about it. Waz could have a podcast. Maybe.
Big things are coming.
Teasing you. Dan, I need a button.
Hot.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
All
yes.
right.
That is absolutely it.
That should be saved.
That should be saved.
I could clip that.
You know what? We're going to get some new buttons, I think. If you have suggestions for the hot and cold buttons for when Tyler gets back.
Tyler has new ones. He just didn't break them out last time, and then he's been gone, I believe.
Can I suggest one?
Yes.
Can we get the Kool-Aid guy saying, "Oh yeah"?
That is good.
I don't think that's copyrighted or anything, but we'll just take it.
Because I'm also going to be adding Nelly Hot and Her to the button bar. How could we not?
Hot and so hot and her.
Couple of things before we wrap up. The Oilers PR team has won the 2021 Dick Dillman Award for PR Excellence. That was courtesy of Frank Seravalli. Another thing I want to talk about really quickly is, Dan, you brought up the Summer of Rage. Are Oilers fans, are we more angry than in general this summer than we have been recently? Is that a thing, or am I just kind of muting people because I'm just like, man, it's July. I don't want to deal with this right now.
I have a take, and I actually just thought about it while we were recording the podcast. As the Edmonton Oilers get better, we don't have to worry about Calgary Flames fans talking about how much better they are than us. We don't have to worry about Winnipeg Jets fans or Vancouver Canucks fans or anything like that. And so I think we've started to look inwards for our battle foes. And so we're seeing quite the little civil war going on here between Oiler fans, because I think we could all admit that Oiler fans are the only people that we allow to make fun of the Edmonton Oilers. And so therefore now the battle is on between each other. And this is a summer where Ken Holland has drawn a line in the sand and said, you know what? Whatever you think of this team, it's not your team, it's my team. And this is the way that we're going forward. And he's either signed a Stanley Cup contender or a death warrant, and we'll see what happens.
Rick, you've been around 100 years. We've seen a lot of bad teams in our day as an Oilers fan. Are we angrier than normal this summer?
I think people in society are angrier than normal. You see them yell to the top of their lungs about absolutely anything everywhere. So we'll start it right there. But yeah, there's just some people that they feel like the whole analytics to the eye test, from the hockey person to whatever, the back and forth, it's ridiculous. When you're entrenched on either side, you're all about one side and 100% against the other side. So it's absolutely ridiculous. And they're usually the most vocal. So unfortunately, to sit there and you want to go on Twitter and find some, just like flipping through the morning paper, well, unfortunately, you're stuck having to go through people that you followed for good information, just going absolutely nuts about something that happened 3-4 weeks ago, and they blow this out of proportion. They put this spin on it. It's ridiculous. I don't really understand it. But yeah, I think it's more about all of society rather than just Oiler fans. We honestly, as Oiler fans, should be calming down, because we are in a spot we've wanted to be in for decades. We should be honestly happy we are where we are. And I'm not saying you can't criticize, but you don't need to be jumping off the bridge. You don't need to be going as far as some people do. We've wanted this for a long time. We're here. Let's sit back and enjoy this, because we know damn well that we could come in Game 7 this year and not get a sniff of it again for 11 years. So, man, I'm happy where I'm at. And let's just sit back and enjoy some of this, please.
Yeah, I'll just add on to that. Sorry. Bag milk.
Flag yourself.
Yeah, flag that.
Flag yourself.
I can censor that. How about that?
That's a little beep in there.
Yeah, but I'll just add on to that, because I went, throughout my whole schooling without only one Oilers playoff run. So the fact that we can just make the playoffs consistently, I'm happy with that. And I think this is the best, we've had a lot of worse teams in this city. So I'm confident this team will make the playoffs again. And yeah, I don't know, like I said, throughout my schooling, 3rd grade, only time I experienced Oilers playoff run. So.
Well,
wait, just for the record, 3rd grade, that was the 05 part, right?
Yeah, 2005, 2006.
All right.
Year after my graduation year.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I was 21. I was at White Ave watching the pallet fires.
I was 25, I don't remember where I was.
We started riots in the schoolyard instead.
Yeah, you guys did a walkout at recess.
That actually happened.
Played push-off.
But they ran right back in as soon as that bell went, though.
Oh, of course.
Kids were getting beat up. It was wild. So, when you supported the Detroit Red Wings, you're getting your ass kicked.
Yep. You got to play a little red. Oh, Waz, you play red ass at school? Is that a thing that you kids
I remember
did?
that. Yeah.
Probably called red butt by the time we got to you.
Yes, there you go. Yeah, there was a lot of painful games back then.
There's just something about whipping a tennis ball at somebody against a brick wall,
No, we just dodge balls.
Something about it.
Somebody breaks out the lacrosse ball.
Well, they've just got an evil Christmas spirit. That's what
that's true.
All right. So from Sherwood Ford, Bixler's Jewelers, Cornerstone Insurance, Deuce, Vodka, I want to say thank you for listening to episode 151 of Oilersnation Radio. I'm Bag Milk with Rick and Dan and Waz, and we're going to end off this podcast in a little bit differently. Waz, you filled in, you produced. I'm going to let you wrap up this week's podcast with a message of hope for angry Oilers fans. How would you calm them down as we move into August and into the long weekend?
I would just say stop being angry. As simple as that. Don't stress over it. You can't control the team. It's out of your control. Just let it happen. Just enjoy the wins. There's gonna be losses. We're not gonna go 82-0. And if we make the playoffs, hey, I mean, if we go to 8-2-0, I'm not gonna be angry, obviously. But someone will be angry, honestly. Someone's gonna be, if we even win the cup, there'll be complaints. But honestly, just don't stress over it too much. Just enjoy the fact that we have some of the 2 best players in the NHL, and yeah, just don't stress. Simple as that.
Oilers Nation Radio, episode 151. Thanks for listening, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Shout out Ken Holland.
Thanks for listening to Oilers Nation Radio, delivered by DoorDash. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram.